Assalamu alaikum, I'm Ayesha Omar. You're watching SpeakEasy on 365 News. As you can see, my guest today is sitting right next to me, Shahbaz Taseer. You still found ways to, I think, find purpose. जिस तरह आप जो आपके कैप्टर की बीवी थी और उसकी बेटी या ग्रैंड डॉटर
उसकी एक्चुअली मेरे कैरेक्टर की मदर इन लॉ शी यूज्ड टू, मैंने कभी उनको देखा तो नहीं था, बट शी यूज्ड टू, शी सेव्ड मी।
देखा क्यों नहीं था? क्योंकि वो हमेशा कवर्ड थी कंप्लीटली।
नहीं, वो पर्दे के पीछे रहते हैं, तो यू डोंट इवन सी द फिजिकल स्टेट ऑफ द वुमन। वो
आवाज सुनी थी?
नहीं, कभी
भी। बट यू न्यू अबाउट हर।
यू न्यू।
बच्ची आपके सामने,
बच्चे मेरे साथ पूरा दिन खेलते थे पूरा रात। सो आई वाज लाइक अ बिग स्टफ्ड टॉय, and it was amazing because
and they trusted you,
they loved me, so they didn't know exactly क्या है ये आदमी, they were so small, and then as I was with them my chains and all came off, so you know they knew he's here, and as their mother used to kind of explain to them that he's like a lottery ticket, so they would, you know, just be sitting like, when will he become gold?
क्या वो आपको खाना लाके देते थे?
खाना लाके दे नहीं after about 8-9 months in my kidnapper's house, when I finally moved in there after my first drone strike, तो अल्लाह ने इज्जत भी देना, वो ये जंजीरें भी उतर गई, खाना भी,
फैमिली का हिस्सा बन गए आप।
prisoner, उनकी फैमिली का prisoner बन गया।
prisoner कि अब पूरी फैमिली को पता है।
How lucky was I that वो इंसान थे, और I'll never forget, मुझे बहुत एक्सटेंसिवली टॉर्चर किया, और मैंने I've spoken about this story before, but एक रात थी जब वो मेरा गोश्त निकाल रहे थे, और I was convinced I'm going to die today. It's too much. Also, I had been tortured a lot up to this moment.
Nails,
so, yeah, there's only so much your body can, you know, like you're like, yeah, I was half the size that I am right now. I was blue, my skin was blue. And I just looked, when he removed 3 pieces, he was grabbing the 4th one, and I just looked at him, and I put my hand on him, and I was like, everybody used to call him Dolma. Dolma in Uzbek means principal. So I was like, Dolma, if you do this, I'll die.
You said it to him.
Yeah. And he just looked at me, and he's like, kuch nahi hoga. Almost like, I really need this. And I just, my head fell like, this is it. And मैं एक बाल्टी में खड़ा हुआ था, वो नहीं होती जिसमें लोग कपड़े होते हैं, वो इतनी डीप होती है, आई थिंक इतनी बड़ी बाल्टी होती है, और वो it was filled, yeah, like a little tub, and it was filled with my blood, and all, and I was just holding on to the wall like this, and I just said my kalma, and I thought कि मैं I should read 1 or 2 surahs or something. By this moment I'd memorized, I think 2-3 सपारे मैंने memorize कर लिए थे, so I was like, बस पढ़ो, and you know, this is,
and it was giving you some kind of,
and while I'm saying this, I hear a woman's voice which I haven't heard in years, and it was very powerful, like but that's how it sounded to me. And the crazy thing is, आपको कभी, you never hear औरतों की आवाज़, आपको, क्योंकि अगर if a woman makes a sound, her husband or her father or her brother will beat her to death most likely. So you know, they can't
be seen, and
can't be seen, can't be heard, can't be smelt, by the way. They can't wear perfume, they can't wear ether unless it's to you know, be with their husband. They can't, because what if somebody smelt it, right? So nothing.
तो अभी आवाज आई आपको,
and to hear this voice, and basically हुआ ये था कि जो मेरे किडनैपर का ब्रदर इन लॉ था, उसकी बीवी का छोटा भाई, उससे मेरी थोड़ी सी दोस्ती हो गई थी, मगर वो इंसान भी था। अब उसने ये 3 गोश्त के पीस देखे हैं, मेरी अपील भी सुनी है, एंड उसको रियलाइज हो गया कि यार ये आदमी मर जाएगा, and he was very kind to me. And I'll tell you a small story about him afterwards, but he ran and got his mother, and he said, ये जो भी अंदर हो रहा है, इसका इस्लाम से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है, सही है, तो हम लोग तो मुजाहिदीन हैं या क्या है, ये क्या है, ये तो कोई 102 लग रही है मुझे अंदर, you know. So the woman broke a barrier that in that society is unbreakable.
Wow.
And she broke this barrier to tell her son-in-law to stop it. And she said it in a way, I don't know what way, but he never touched me again. He never touched me again. She gave me soap, she gave me shampoo, she gave me a toothbrush. I know this sounds crazy. If you just, look...
and this was the first time you were getting all this now?
Yeah.
मतलब ये सारी चीजें
maybe I'd gotten the shampoo, soap and toothbrush before, but she was the reason for it.
She was,
I would get 3 meals. I would get breakfast, I would get a lunch, and I would get a dinner, and it wasn't garbage. It would be just, maybe it could be rice and a little bit of dal. It could be it could just be the noodles. It could be anything like a piece of bread in the morning. Just a kind woman.
Wow.
Who was, she used to tell her son, make sure he bathes 2-3 times a week. I used to take showers after months. And she's, the grandmother, obviously his wife, because it's a big thing. His brother-in-law and his kids and all the kids of the house. I'll never forget, मेरी किताब में भी ये लिखा हुआ है. वो अभी 1 साल का भी मेरा अपना बच्चा 1 साल का भी हुआ है. तो I know babies and they do things and everybody is just
catering to the baby.
And वो उधर बैठा हुआ था and he was maybe 8-9 months and he did something and rolled over and he was a very cute, like Uzbeks are beautiful, I mean people in terms of they've got these very like
beautiful
Chinese, they're like pandas. I can't really, they're really cute, okay? And the kids are like these blue eyes and blonde hair and like little pandas, okay? And he did something like rolled over and looked at me and went ha 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 ha, like laughed or something, and I laughed. And when I smiled, I swear it was such a haunting feeling because I realized
in all that pain.
Yeah, I haven't smiled in years. I've just never laughed. I've never smiled, and it used to be like, if you ask any of my friends, and if you even read some of the things they used to write about me while I was gone,
I read
we
so
miss
much
you.
of the
things aren't the
tweets.
same.
Yeah.
And it's because I used to always make everybody laugh and make them feel comfortable.
You still do that?
I still do that. Yeah. It's part of who I am, and I realized, somewhere along, trying to be really, really strong and survive and not give up, I've lost myself.
Yeah.
And
is that why you named the book Lost to the World?
Yeah, because I was lost to the world.
Lost
I was
to yourself.
Lost to myself.
Lost to yourself. It's not about the world.
Yeah,
it's about yourself.
I remember once, the first time that I saw my face in a mirror, and I had this horrible beard because it wasn't like this long yet, so it was like this.
Scraggly.
And my hair was like weird. It was because I hadn't taken a shower in 4 or 5 months, so it was like straw. It was like a Rastafarian. I just looked at my face and, I had so much mud, and the only lines I had were tears. And there were a lot of lines going across my face, but they were tears, dried up tears on mud, just... And I was like, who is this guy? Who is this?
Where is that person?
I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I remember I cried so much that night because I thought, they killed me. And this is just someone who's walking through till this body dies. And then when I smiled that day, I was like, I'd grown up as a person by then. And I'd become a little resilient. Even when they used to torture me, I sometimes wouldn't give them the reaction that they wanted. When they would tell me to call my mother and abuse and scream and shout, and that was really hard. When I was rescued, that's the first thing I said to my mother was, I'm really sorry for everything that I said, because I never wanted to say these things. It's just that I was in a terrible place. Oof. And it makes you more hopeless, because even if you're gone, what will my mother, the last words she'll remember is me telling her, I hate you. And all she keeps telling me is how much she loves me, and she prays for me, and everybody prays for me, and nothing will happen to me, and Allah will protect me. And I just say that, you're a liar.
So you used to talk to your mother on the phone?
Very rarely.
उन्होंने इतने videos देखे आपके.
Videos
I don't want
बनाते
to
थे.
get into that because they would force your mother to watch every second.
She was being tortured. I was being tortured.
कि अपने बेटे का torture देखना और फिर उसका test लेना.
I'm a dad now.
You're a dad now, so you can.
And my son actually had typhoid, and I was in and out of hospital for 3 weeks. And it was very touch and go. And I just remember I've never felt so hopeless in my life. And there's nothing I can do. and it's all in somebody else's hand. And I just remember I prayed.
But then you go back to that.
Yeah,
That what you learned, the takeaway.
I asked God. I was like, I buried my dad with 29 bullets in his body. I put my mother through hell. I've walked a very lonely and long road, but don't make me carry this. I can't carry this burden. I can't do it. I don't have it in me. And I prayed, and my son got better. But I just, in all of it, I realized that to see a child in pain it's in the Quran. Allah says it's my greatest, मेरा सबसे बड़ा इम्तिहान एक इंसान से औलाद का और बहुत मुश्किल इम्तिहान है. And you realize that you sometimes you feel like, oh my God, my being, myself, and then you don't even live for yourself anymore. You live for somebody else, and I can understand what I can never understand what my mother went through, because my child had a medical emergency. I had the best,
and you had people to help you, but your mother had nobody to help you at that time. But I want to speak about takeaways because we can continue talking. अच्छा, एक break लेते हैं. जब break से वापस आएंगे, and I want to give you 5 minutes to get your thoughts together. मैं takeaways की बात करना चाहती हूँ. So let's take a break and we'll come back to Speak Easy with Ayesha Omar. We are in conversation with the incredible Shahbaz Taseer. I'm Ayesha Omar. You're watching Speak Easy on 365 News. You just told me in the break कि आप अपनी भी एक podcast शुरू करना चाहते हैं. सबसे पहले तो कैमरे की प्रेजेंस को आपने ऐसे बनाना होता है जैसे ये इंसान है बस 3 इंसान बैठे हैं, right? And the conversation that you have with friends, when you're chatting, वही एनर्जी को
my friends are Sikandar Chaudhary.
Yes.
If I should be having this conversation, that's the dilemma. Should I not?
He's my friend too. But you've had some wonderful friends in your childhood. Even now, उन्होंने आपको transform होते देखा. There's Shahbaz Taseer that they knew before you were abducted, and the Shabby that they have always known. And I know that it's so personal. आप किसी को नहीं prove भी नहीं करना आपने कि मैं अब ऐसा हूँ. Your friends can see that in you. You don't have to tell them anything. जो transformation आपके अंदर आई वो कभी ना आती if all this had not happened.
Yeah, I mean.
And I say this because I've been through some traumatic times. और मैं कहती हूँ कि अच्छा ये accident हुआ मेरा, I almost died, फिर मेरी bones टूटी, फिर surgery हुई. And I know कि आप भी उस what if में गए थे in the first few months after being abducted, क्योंकि आपने एक different route लिया था उस दिन. आप इसी ऑफिस आते थे?
नहीं, right across the road.
Right across the road आपका ऑफिस था.
Right, ये PF Chang के पीछे.
हाँ, तो आपने एक different route लिया. And you came and so you're like, अगर मैं वो route ना लेता तो ये ना होता. So I've also been through that what if process. But then when I reflect on who I've become, the wisdom, the growth, the transformation that has happened, वो किसी और process के through ना होती. तो उसके लिए gratitude इतना ज़्यादा होता है. And it's very a lot of people find it very hard to understand that you have gratitude for your trauma, you have gratitude for the pain you've been through. What do you mean by that? That's very twisted.
I'm alive.
Do you understand? You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I think whenever मेरा भाई बहुत हंसता है जब मैं कहता हूँ let me tell you a funny story and then I tell some gruesome story about my kidnapping. मगर I really believe growth or evolving as a person. You have to look at everything, the ups and downs in life as experiences. And all experiences, relationship experiences, school experiences, hardships, anything. Or they can help you grow as a person, or you can be stuck in, like I have a lot of friends that are still in like whenever you meet them, it's just
in a dark
school.
place.
No, it's like school stories. Very strange. And I've never quite. I just don't understand.
Mentally, usi ek usme. I don't want to say stuck because that's judging somebody's journey.
Yeah.
But they have not
maybe done. I don't know.
Started that journey yet.
I think, or maybe though whatever their journey was since, they didn't learn from, because I guess when you're in school, it's exams and your ups and downs are not what happens when you come into the real world.
Yeah.
And you actually have to take the downs as learning, as learning experiences, as lessons. Because nothing that you learn, like, you know, I have a friend who says, you know, I went to Harvard. And
I mean, you went and studied law also.
If you ask them, well, what did you do since Harvard? There's very little that comes out of that, right? And anger and strange things like that. And I've been guiding a friend of mine recently and told him that, yeah, if you've had disappointments since whatever age, now start learning from those disappointments. Start learning from these setbacks.
Lessons, yeah.
And you have to evolve as a person.
Course.
Like, nobody is going to do business with you because you went to Harvard, right? As a matter of fact, it probably won't even come up in a conversation. I meet, like, you know, I've been very lucky. I just did a project and we had invited Mia Mansha because he's really guided and helped my, sorry, उन्होंने मेरे खानदान को बहुत गाइड किया और हेल्प किया है बड़े मुश्किल वक्त पे. तो ऑनेस्टली आप उनसे पूछें तो वो भी आपको यही बताएंगे एज द मोस्ट सक्सेसफुल बिजनेसमैन इन पाकिस्तान के, पता नहीं उंगलियों पे मैं गिन सकता हूँ.
इंस्टीट्यूशनल पढ़ाई से ज्यादा जो आप जिंदगी की
वो हम कहते हैं ना यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लाइफ. अब 2+2 is 4 is very good, but it doesn't apply after 22 at all in any shape, way or form. And if for any reason you can't grow as a human being and learn from mistakes, आप
वहीं stuck रहते हैं.
You understand?
Yeah.
I have never taken anything, and I've had all kinds of crazy things happen to me.
Taken anything, you mean?
As a setback. Or as something I couldn't learn from or become better. Even the what if.
I haven't taken any psychiatric drugs to heal. I was like, yeah.
No, it was recommended that I should go for something like this. But the thing is that I've been on this journey and healed myself.
Yeah. You become
by
your
myself.
own therapist, of course. Of course.
And I just felt like, you know, if I'm doing it right, I should just do it the way that I'm doing it. I don't want to do anything that alters me or does anything.
And आपने कोई psychiatric कोई medication
नहीं, and only because and this is not to say that it's ये एक चीज नहीं है जो for someone who needs help that they shouldn't explore.
You're not. We're talking about your experience.
Yeah,
आप कोई
but you know, मेरा मसला इस मुल्क में ये होता है कि बहुत ज़्यादा लोग समझते हैं कि क्योंकि ये बंदा खुद कोई किसी तरह सही हो गया, हर बंदे की जर्नी ऐसी होनी चाहिए. And I keep telling them कि यार, you know, अल्लाह ने मुझे skin of my teeth, you know, saved me. It doesn't apply to anyone else. So for example, being in a car accident, this is a fact, can traumatize you a lot more than what happened to me.
I remember I came to see you a couple of days after that. But Shabby, जब किताब लिख ली और जब final draft गया publisher के पास, were you satisfied?
No, my publisher hates me. So I edited it myself. I wrote it myself, I edited it myself, and then I edited it in publishing myself. So literally, I would be calling up the editor and saying,
micromanaging.
You missed, yeah. And you know, my publisher called me up once and he was like, you know how you run your business? Try taking that look. So I was like, so I was like, do you know how I run my business? And he's like, how? I was like, my brother macromanages and I micromanage. And he's like, ये कीड़ा मेरे साथ क्या फंस गया?
अच्छा, पर वो जब publish हुई तो तब भी कभी ना कभी तो आपको होता है कि
अभी भी मुझे दो इतनी गलतियां नजर आती हैं, words, spelling mistakes उसमें हैं. So I called my publisher. I was like, what the hell? So the Indian version, the Penguin one, is slightly more refined because it's the third book.
Achha.
Yeah. So there have been 6 releases. basically, right?
Different countries.
Yeah, so hardcover in the US, hardcover in the UK, hardcover in Asia, soft cover in the US, soft cover in the UK, soft cover in...
And edited by different people.
Yeah, but the Indian soft cover ka jo cover hai, my mother and I worked on it. Like we made that cover, and it's like a broken prison, but it's got a window and you can kind of see the world outside.
Yeah. Have you found someone who you think can play you?
Fawad Khan will play me. Or he'll play my kidnapper.
Wow. नहीं तो आपने पाकिस्तानी cast होगी.
Fawad is a friend and we go for dinner and we chill a lot. Like we were chilling and he was most interested in this guy.
Of course. It'll be his best
I was
movie.
like, what about me? And he's like, yeah, good character. I was like, prime central character, dude. What?
But Fawad.
But you know, my kidnapper was a very interesting character. He is probably one of the most... Yeah, and you know, he'd read over 5,000 books about Islam. To be a mufti होने के लिए
बहुत पढ़ना.
It's like a PhD. तो आपको तकरीबन 2 या 5,000, अब देखें अगर आप कोई आदमी दुनिया का 2 से 5,000 किताबें 2 to 5,000 books about a certain topic, वो उसका प्रोफेशनल है. ये सारी दुनिया में आपको मानते हैं ये PhD है, ये मास्टर्स है, इसने 5,000 किताबें पढ़ी हैं इसके बारे में. तो you know, he was not just a mufti, he was a mufti जो अल-कायदा, पाकिस्तानी तालिबान, लश्कर जंगवी, उज़्बेकिस्तान इस्लामी हरकत और 6-7 और ग्रुप्स को नहीं आइसिस बाद में. पहले आइसिस नहीं था, ये सारे तालिबान के अफगानी तालिबान के विंग के नीचे थे. आइसिस ने इनकी जंग कराई.
वो अम्ब्रेला है ना, अफगानी तालिबान is the umbrella.
And ISIS was the second umbrella which the Afghani Taliban couldn't accept.
So the Uzbek
Uzbeks
group
went under
जिन्होंने आपको किडनैप किया यहाँ से, वो उनका जो लीडर था, he was
first with the Afghan Taliban.
हाँ.
वो उनके फ्रंट. Then he broke and gave bayat, which is a pledge of allegiance to ISIS. जब उसने वो pledge of allegiance दी, तो अफगान तालिबान ने इनको 2 रातों में they finished. कोई तकरीबन 4,000 का ग्रुप था जहाँ हम थे, और इन्होंने I think 4,000 का ग्रुप था, और जहाँ हम थे वहाँ तकरीबन 1,500 से 2,000 लोग थे. लेकिन जिस गांव में मैं था उधर सिर्फ 400 उन्होंने लोग मारे.
और आपने 4 साल गुजारे?
नहीं, उस 400 लोग मारे.
नहीं, कितने साल उस गांव में गुजारे थे?
आई थिंक 1 साल अफगानिस्तान में. मैं a year and a half, तो मैं जनवरी फरवरी में अफगानिस्तान पहुंचा था. नवंबर में इनकी जंग हुई थी और मैं फरवरी 29 को भाग गया. सो तकरीबन 1 साल. तो जो गांव था उधर वो प्राइमरीली उज़्बेक्स थे. उन्होंने को घर दिए हुए थे, उनके औरतें थे, उनके बच्चे थे.
Would you like that to be depicted in the film?
I think it's a very important story. I think the violence that I saw is very important. I've maybe depicted it a little less or wrote about it a little less in my book, only because I had to get my story across.
So ab film mein you can combine 2-3 parts.
It's very important. I think जब मैं बात करता हूँ and आप मुझे जब देखते हैं, it would be very difficult to understand the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
It's just it's a violent place. Violence is happening to you, around you, in the air, on the ground, to people. You know, one day this guy is my guard, the next day he's been killed in a drone strike. The next day this guy is my guard. Where did he go? Oh, he went to carry out a suicide bombing. Alhamdulillah. You know, you're like, what?
And then women also. आपके सामने एक औरत बाहर गई.
इसी मुफ्ती के फतवे पे. अब उस वक्त देखें, अब मैं आज इतना इसके बारे में बात करता हूँ, just on the orders of a man who said do it, it's better to die than to surrender to the Taliban. यार खुदकुशी की तो इजाज़त ही नहीं है. एक कैदी के अपने, मतलब कुरान के अंदर पूरा आपको बताया हुआ है that if you're a asir, a कैदी, if you've been caught, a prisoner of war, what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And nowhere in it does it say take your life. You know, ऐसे सहाबी थे जिनके लोगों को उनके सामने आग लगा के मार रहे थे, कोल पे फेंक रहे थे और कह रहे थे कि तुम बस just leave the kalma. And he said, I can't. But you know what? If you forgive my companions, I'll do what you say. But forgive them. You know, I'm just saying that torture and war and captivity is part of being a Muslim. When the Prophet and his companions became Muslim, the first thing that happened to them was torture and captivity.
Yeah.
So it's an essential part of being a Muslim to think that there's an option of just blowing yourself up to escape this.
That's the test. That's the test.
It's the test, right?
It's
So,
the test.
but I just, I used to, it took me a long time, by the way, to get over all this. Only because I used to say, yeah, she was just 14, 15, I don't know, she was very young. And my captor, who I used to listen to the Man United games with, Sohail, the whole time that we were in jail, he never knew if his wife and kid were. His wife was also pregnant, and the Mufti had told all the women to blow themselves up, and she had a jacket.
नहीं पता था कि
उसको 6 महीने जेल में ये बात नहीं पता थी, is my wife alive? For example, उसको फिल्मों के, सारी फिल्मों का पता था, गानों का पता था, जगहों का पता था. तो जब आप senseless idiots के बैठे हैं और एक आदमी को पता है Kings of Leon और Pearl Jam और गाड़ियाँ,
ज़्यादा आ जाएगी.
Conversation and reminisce and songs and I remember एक बार मैं Spice, हम Man United ने गोल मारा तो मैंने कहा tell me what you want, what you really really want. तो कहते tell me what you he started singing with me and then suddenly goes badbakht, you're making me sing, गुनाह है, गाने नहीं गा सकते, मगर Man United की game सुन रहे थे and we're like glory Man United.
Wow.
So you're in this insane state with insane people, and yet.
And you think you're insane too now, or no?
I did, by the way, I'll give myself credit. I went through a very difficult time when जब उन्होंने मुझे solitary में डाला और मुझे torture कर रहे थे, जहाँ मैं on the brink, I was suicidal.
वो आपकी emotional breakdown वहाँ.
हाँ, I had completely broken down emotionally and I'd given up and I wanted to kill myself and I had a blade and I was going to do it as well.
You solitary confinement with him?
Solitary,
6 months.
Yeah. And I was being beaten. So not having pieces removed from me, but very severely beaten. Dare, yeah. And मैं बैठा, I put the blade to my wrist and I couldn't do it. And I just remember thinking, it was self-pity of a different kind because now I also realized that I was a coward. So sometimes when people say you're very brave or you're a hero, I remember what I went through.
Accepting that.
Yeah, I know what I've been through. There was a lot of screaming and a lot of pain and a lot of crying and very little bravery and very little heroism. Just the grace of God that I'm sitting here, which doesn't mean that I have earned any of these.
So, Shabby, तुम्हें लगता है you have imposter syndrome with this?
Yeah, definitely. I hate being called brave and I hate being told that I'm a hero. And it's not really an imposter syndrome. It's misplaced credit.
But Shabby, you look at
No, I'll be honest with you. Only because
you could have taken your life.
I could have.
So you're here. You give
and I was
credit.
strong. I was strong and I was patient in certain moments. But I have 2 figures in front of me, and so many more people. Like for example, I came back and I remember just before Asma Jahangir died, I was lucky enough, she invited me to have dinner with her. And I just couldn't believe that Asma Jahangir wanted to have dinner with me. She's like an aunt of mine, but to want to have dinner with me.
With you and not because you're friends with her son.
Yeah, and for no other reason. She's like, मैंने शहबाज के साथ, and लोग मुझे इस तरह करके बुलाते थे and they'd give me all this respect and I would just look at them and I'd be like, but you're Asma Jahangir.
But
you do this.
You're Shahbaz Taseer. Shabby.
One day I hope I can live in, be even 1% of some of these people. My father, my mother, Asma auntie, and so many more brave people. There was a young boy while I was over there. There was a suicide bomber going into his house and he grabbed him outside his school. He was 13, 14 and the guy blew himself up. What a hero. Mukhtara Mai, she was gang raped by and वो आज तक लड़ रही है.
अच्छा, एक break लेते हैं. So let's take a break and we'll come back to Speak Easy with Ayesha Omar. We are in conversation with the incredible Shahbaz Taseer. I'm Ayesha Omar. You're watching Speak Easy on 365 News. You speak about women a lot and their bravery. In this journey, I mean, of course,
I was saved by her. मुझे एक औरत ने बचाया था.
औरत ने बचाया. तो ख़वातीन की respect आपके दिमाग में बहुत ज़्यादा है आपके अंदर. And you're in awe of their resilience and strength.
I find that every person has a role, and I don't say gender. Every person is different. No gender is the same. No two people from the same gender are the same.
But emotional strength की मैं बात कर.
Yeah, I think women are way ahead of the game.
Physical strength की बात नहीं
Maybe
emotional
physically,
strength
but अगर जिंदगी में physical strength बहुत कम आपको ज़रूरत होती है. For example, हाँ, game actually यहाँ की है. मेरे वालिद साहब मुझे एक बात कहते थे, वो भी solitary confinement में थे, उनको भी torture किया था. और वो कहते थे कि जब आप अकेले होते हो तो आपको पता चलता है कि ये जो सैनिटी और इनसैनिटी की लाइन है ना, ये कितनी पतली है, ये एक धागे की तरह है. और if you happen to stumble across the other side, there's no way back.
Yes.
And so you have to be very cautious, you have to be very patient. And I always saw myself, him, men that I know struggle with this balance, and women walk it very easily. मुझे याद नहीं था सुबह 6 बजे कैसे उठते हैं और ऑफिस जाते हैं.
Of course, yeah. Give you cut yourself
दांत
some
ब्रश
slack.
करते हैं. क्या दांत? टूथपेस्ट लो. You know, like simple things. हर दिन नहाना होता है. 4 दिन बाद नहीं आया, कितनी अच्छी थी, 4 दिन बाद नहाने देती थी. इधर तो हर दिन नहाना होता है.
तो Neha, your wife, how has she helped you in this? Must have been tough for her to see all this, but then itni patience or
You know, I almost never wrote this book. The only reason I wrote this book was because of Neha. And so
she pushed you.
Yeah, I'd written a rough draft of a pretty much final draft of, I don't know, but in the draft. And this is a funny story.
She read it.
Yeah. So I play Call of Duty. It's a murdering game. So I'm murdering people online, and it's a war game. By the way, that's where my full PTSD and trauma come into play. Wow. Some of the things I do in that, like I'll kill a pistol guy with a rocket launcher, and the guy will be like, "You didn't need to be so gruesome," but I am. Anyways, so I'm playing my game, and she's sitting on the side, and basically, she was reading my book.
और ये पहला draft था आपका.
Towards the end. So let's say if there were 10 drafts, actually I wrote 36 drafts. So let's say we were on the 30th draft.
हाँ.
Okay.
तो अब उन्होंने पढ़ी.
हाँ, वो पढ़ी है and.
शादी हो चुकी थी?
No, we weren't married.
उस वक्त आप लोग
dating. We were seeing each other, and she looked at me and she said that, "Why aren't you finishing this?" And I'd been through my own experiences since I'd been back, and failure here, this, there, all kinds of stuff, including the worst kind of stuff where I had been told that, all kinds of things, some obnoxious, some deserving, some inhumane. And I just felt like, and online abuse is the worst,
मुझे
right?
पता है कुछ
मैं जब इधर था पहले तो ये Twitter, Facebook, Instagram exist ही नहीं करती थी.
I know what you're speaking about, and I know कि personally भी वो बहुत मुश्किल time था जब आप वापस आए.
So, it was tough, and I thought, कौन interested होएगा सुनने में?
इतनी gruesome story सुनने में.
Gruesome story or some of the things that were being said about me and whatever, and then she was like, this is not your story. This is your family's story, and you've never even told me these things.
Wow.
And why would you not, share this with the world? Because she said it's so sad. When I read it, it broke my heart knowing that you're sitting over here abusing some kid, a 14-year-old online, while you're murdering people in Call of Duty. But that you've been through this, and that something has happened to you in your life where you feel that you shouldn't share this because somebody said something to you. Please share this for your father, for what your mother has been through, for what your brother has been through, for what your sister has been through, and for what you've been through.
That was the purpose that you were looking for.
And then I started doing it, and I finished it, and then a lot of मेरा CFO जो है, because like right now this is office time, right? So my CFO, whenever this happens, he comes to me and he goes, कोई मकसद भी है तो वैसे ही तुसी है लगे रहंदे हो तो
पैसा कमा रहे हो.
So I was doing a talk at Collabs. It's a co-working space, and मेरे cousins हैं Umar and Ali, who built just the most fantastic brand, and बड़े मेहनती हैं. और तो anyway, I was doing a talk over there. उनके 3-4 companies थी. They wanted motivational talks. So I do these motivational talks. And after I got done, so my wife says to me, she's like, I told you that your story has a much bigger purpose than
what you think.
And then I told my CFO, I was like, जब मैं जन्नत में जा रहा हूँगा तो तुम मुझे उस वक्त अगर कहोगे शहबाज साहब तो मैं कहूँगा ये वाला मेरे साथ नहीं आ रहा सही है तो वी हैड अ बिग लाफ अबाउट इट बट यू नो इट वाज द मोस्ट वंडरफुल थिंग और उस बंदे का बात करने का इस तरह तरीका था यू नो फुल पहलवान टाइप nonchalant
to have created a difference and changed someone's perspective on something, inspired someone. That's the purpose.
And I'll tell you another story. So that was my wife and the Gujjar. And then I was speaking at Fast University and when I was done with my talk, I said, you know, sometimes you don't know what your reason is, why you're here. So I'm still trying to find mine. I'm just grateful to be here with you guys. So there was a girl and she was full hijab mein thi. Full hijab में थी and she put her hand up and she said sir मैं आपको सिर्फ ये कहना चाहती थी कि जो आपके वालिद साहब थे ना उन्होंने एक गरीब औरत जिसके पास कोई नहीं था उसको उसकी मदद की और उस मदद करने के लिए उनको बेरहमी से मार दिया गया और फिर उनके नाम पे भी तोहमत की गई आई थिंक आपको अल्लाह ताला ने बचाया उनकी सैक्रिफाइस को रिवॉर्ड करने के लिए इसका आपसे कम लेना देना है और ज़्यादा उनकी सैक्रिफाइस का
उनकी एनर्जी सर्कुलेट
like
करके
karma. Like this was his good karma.
एनर्जी सर्कुलेट करके आती है so you know your purpose Shahbaz. You know it
so
you just need to accept it
just if this helps it's
I think तो एक मेरा सवाल था कि speaking about it over and over again जिसने आपने इतने interviews दिए हैं
it does help you and by the way the more you can you know a lot of people will tell you speak go to a therapist speak to people about what you've been through but more than anything if you find someone that you can speak without being judged and that's what I have in my wife is that I can actually speak about anything with her without being judged.
Wow.
And it lifts a lot of weight. And also you should have like, as I say, tribe of mental cases that are like-minded.
Yeah, and you have that.
And
that's your karma.
I have a fantastic,
that's your karma.
More than, by the way, my family, and I shouldn't say more than them, I can't explain the importance of my friends.
Yeah.
You know, पहले दिन लाहौर में लैंड हुआ मेरा एक दोस्त है एहसन यू नो मोटू
Of course.
वो आया है उसने मेरे से हग नहीं दी पूछा नहीं जिंदा है मर गया है क्या हुआ है कहता है यार तूने वो होमलैंडर देखी है टीवी शो वो बड़ा कमीना था तू वो बंदा तो नहीं है अच्छा इस हग देने से पहले पूछ रहा है तो मैंने कहा होमलैंडर कहता है यार वो गया था वापस आके क्रेजी था क्रेजी
हो गया
so I was like I'm thinking right now I'm thinking so you know I have these mental friends and they keep me on my toes and if you see in my book as well how I've reached out to them in different memories and thinking about them why jab main udhar tha it helped me
kept you going
and also by the way you know to be able to spend a Saturday or a Friday with them was a major reason to also come back. So you know, a lot of people say that used to ask me why you didn't give up while you were there, because I had a lot to look forward to, and there comes a point in your life where you realize I'm being stopped from reaching my full potential. So if I'm just get out of here, I'll have that back, and that heals you as well.
Yes.
And so I think that, you know, just the fact that I thought maybe if I can somehow get over this fence, I might have a really beautiful life waiting for me. And not that it's perfect, but no painting is, no art is, it's always critique, but it's kind of there. And everyone has an opinion.
And mashallah, look where you are. You have your whole life ahead of you. Thank you so much, Shabi.
Thank you.
So much time. तुमने इतना बोला है.
I'm sorry I took so much.
जो catch-up हम प्लान कर रहे हैं सालों से वो इस शो के थ्रू हो गया क्योंकि ये बातें इतनी गहरी बातें खैर मैंने इंटरव्यूज में तो देखा है बट वन ऑन वन फेस टू फेस करना ये हम जब हैंग कर रहे होते हैं सब दोस्त तो ये नहीं हो सकती सो थैंक यू सो मच शाबी एंड ब्लेस यू
थैंक यू फॉर कमिंग एंड थैंक यू ऑल फॉर कमिंग
और मैं आप लोगों से मिलूंगी अगली एपिसोड में दिस वाज स्पीक इजी वी वर इन कन्वर्सेशन विद द एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी शहबाज तासीर अगली दफा मिलेंगे खुदा हाफिज